Hi, I'm Linda Deir, and this is...
And this is Ray Holly.
You guys know us. I think most of you know us. Anyway, we do this project together, and today we're going to talk about my guided journey. Ask. What it takes to ask to connect with your spirit guide angels that I talk about in Guided. This is my flagship book to my guided journey, and I talk about how I lived it, how I learned it from the time I was a baby when I first met my spirit guide angels. This is a photograph, actual photograph I took of them in 1994 when they appeared to me at Christmas time, and they showed up in the room 7 foot tall, lit the whole room up, and I happened to have my Nikon camera in hand, and I took their photograph, and in that room were about 3 or 4 other people, and nobody saw it except for me. Now, this was film days, so I didn't know if I actually saw it. It was so obvious in the room, but I didn't know if I caught it on camera. And then I had the film developed, and there it was. And it became the front cover of my book because it's all about my spirit guides and angels and how they've guided me throughout my life and saved my life.
So at that point in your life, you'd already seen them for how many years?
I had seen them physically, my first encounter where I met them, formally met them, and saw them all around me. I was 20 months old. And when I saw them, it happened, the way it happened is I was in a bad situation. I was in an abusive home where my mom was abusing me every day after my dad went to work. So I ran away from home and I came back, and when the cops brought me back home at 20 months old, they caught me walking down the median of the freeway. And when they brought me back home, my mom had a fit that I had run off and brought attention to this situation. Here the cops were at our front door, right? And she brought me in and she beat me so badly after the cops were gone. She beat me so badly that I really didn't expect to wake back up and into this world. And when I did, I was so shocked and terrified to still be here that I did the only thing I knew to do, and that was to ask for help. I asked out loud, someone help me. And when I did that, that's when they all appeared to me, all around me. And this was my first introduction to my guides. And from that day on, my connection to my spirit guides and angels has been solid. And that's why I talk about it in my true life story in Guided about how this works. So my guided journey is what I wrote after the thousands of fans who contacted me and wanted to know more. They wanted to connect with their own guides, their own angels. And because I've lived it and I have an amazing memory, I can remember everything that happened in my life, especially as it was associated with my guides. I wrote this so that you guys can do this without going through everything I had to go through to learn it, So that's what this is about.
So that was 1994 when you took that photograph.
Yep.
What'd they tell you when you got the film back?
What they told me, it was a dream. They came to me in a dream 2 weeks after I took their photograph. And I was lucid in that dream, and I asked them, why did you let me take your photograph this time? I mean, I'd seen them my whole life. And this time, of course, there's no accidents. They knew I had the camera in my hand. They knew I saw them, okay? And they said, you're going to write a book about your relationship with us since you were a little girl, and we appeared so the world could believe. So that's what they told me. I wrote the book, I wrote Guided 20 years later. So, I wasn't ready to write it at the time. I had a lot going on, and it doesn't mean that when you get the guidance that you're supposed to go do it right now. I mean, your truth center, what you know that it's maybe on the horizon. It's something where you've gotten a heads up in advance, and you don't forget it. It's one of those things that you never forget. And at one point, I just sat down in August of 2012 at my computer without even thinking about it, without even saying anything to Ray, and I just started writing Guided. And it was written in 4.5 months. It's almost a 400-page book. So it's a big, thick book. This book was I published this book on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes, and published this in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook format. So take a look at it. You can
That looks like a great book. Has that book won any awards?
Yes.
I heard recently that you won the 2017 International Body, Mind, Spirit Book Award.
It did. This
Your first
year.
book. You won an international award?
I know. It's very humbling, I must say. But you know what matters to me more than the award?
That I was the publisher?
That all the fans that responded to this book, all the questions, and all the fans that want to know how to do this themselves, Ray, which generated this. That's where this came from. And by the way, my guided journey is available on the lindadeir.com website for free. You can find it on the right side. It says My Guided Journey, free download, and there's a little video there that you can watch. That's about 3 minutes long or so. That explains briefly what this is all about. So
that day that you asked for help, the day that your mother beat you unconscious when the police brought you back and you woke up on the floor, you realized that you were there, back where you started that day, and that was not good. And you'd already played your ace in the hole, the running away thing.
I did. I played my only card.
Right. So you asked for help. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you ask your guides for help?
Not just how you ask for help, but how you get the help, okay? A lot of people ask for lots of things, but they say, and I hear this a lot, where they say, but I didn't get any help. They didn't answer my prayers, okay? Where am I missing it? What am I doing wrong? So that's what Ray's going to ask some questions. Do we have any questions so far?
Not yet. Feel free to, I see some new faces. Feel free, don't be bashful. Feel free to ask any kind of questions about asking your guides for help.
Right. Now, just so you guys know, the best thing to do is to either read or listen to Guided so you can see how I learned to do this. Because once I got the help I needed when I was 20 months old, amazing, it's like I couldn't shut up, okay? I mean, I asked for help all the time. I had started this communication bond with my guides from that one point in time. And I learned, I cried to them when in my play box, in my sandbox. I told them what I felt. I told them what I knew. I complained. I did everything, okay? I mean, I was very vocal when it came to talking to them after that incident. But then I just started hearing the communication come through. I would think something or feel something and really want to know the answer to it, but I wouldn't ask out loud like I was doing when I first learned this, and I would get the answer. So that's when I realized that what was happening is I was learning to communicate with my spirit guides and angels like they communicate with each other. That's what I was learning to do. It took me about 6 months, maybe a year to really get it perfected. So I was a whole, 2 years and maybe 2.5 years old before I perfected this line of communication. And all I did, you guys, is I remembered. I call this where we came from, and I call this where we are. We came from this place, this knowing, this truth, this knowing who we came in as, who we are. And then we found ourselves in this world, and asking in this world, if you were caught asking your guides, somebody from this world would go, what are you doing and who are you asking? Who are you talking to, right? But from this world, it was so natural. It's natural for everybody. This isn't just a gift I came in with. This is a gift we all come in with. It's like built-in GPS. So that's...
Yeah. Adults tend to dismiss little children talking to their spirit guides, their invisible friends.
Or just knowing things.
Right.
Like I told you, I talked out loud to them once I first encountered them at 20 months old when they saved my life. Then they couldn't shut me up. I mean, I wasn't going to let that go. Okay, my lifeline from the other side, from where I came from. But then it didn't take me too long before I would just, like I said, think something and they would respond. I'd get the answers every time. And I had no reasoning. At 2 years old, 2.5, reasoning had not developed yet. Reasoning comes from this world. I came from the world of knowing, the world I came from, just like all of you. So I was completely leaning into that. And when I just thought things, I wondered about things, and I'd get the answer. The next thing that would happen is I'd find myself, like my own yellow brick road, I'd find myself pursuing that. I'd find myself investigating that, playing with that, interacting with it without even thinking about it. And so that's how this whole thing developed, and that's how I learned to have this communication bond, but this co-creation bond with my spirit guides and angels throughout my life. So I knew when to get in, when to get out. I knew when I could trust someone and when I couldn't. I've always known things, but didn't come from me. It came through me. And that's all these different ways that you ask, that you may not think that it's asking, but it all is. All right.
Okay, we have a question.
Okay.
A lot of new people. That's great to see all the new people. And we see Bridget joined us. Bridget, must be the middle of the night in France, Bridget.
We're so glad to have you. Bridget's in France right now. She's amazing.
She's one of our favorite people.
Yeah.
And we have a question from Leslin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's a beautiful name. How do I connect with my guides? I keep asking them to step forward.
Okay. Is that the end of her question?
That's the end of the question.
Okay. Your guides have stepped forward. They're right there. You're the one that's interfering with that communication. And I'll tell you how you can fix that. Did you see what I just did? I mean, really learn to breathe, all right? Breathe until you feel that yawn come up. You know how that yawn feels. When you yawn, it's like, oh, that felt so good. I just feel my whole body, the tension release. When you do that, now you're out of the way of blocking them. They've never gone anywhere. They're always there. They just know that, we get caught up in this life and we get filled with tension and worry and whatever's going on. And we're the ones that get in the way of it. So they're always there. You are never alone. You are always being guided. Remember that. It's us that need to open up. Okay? So if you have a question around what I just said, please put it into the stream and we'll go from there. All right?
Okay, I have a question. So when you breathe, you're releasing what? Releasing the fear?
You're releasing the resistance.
Okay.
Okay, because what happens is, believe it or not, we all breathe real shallowly. We don't breathe, because we're holding our breath because of tension. We're anticipating something. We're learning something. And when we do it, we automatically start breathing shallow. And that's what starts to break that connection, all right? But when you breathe, okay, let's use this as an example. If you had a jump rope or a trampoline, like one of those rebounders, or you had one of those, you had some kind of a bicycle in your house where you can, an elliptical machine, whatever, where you can get your heart rate up and you could start breathing, okay? That would get you going. That would get you breathing. That would get you moving. Okay, now, all of a sudden, you can feel your head clear up. Your upper body starts to release, okay? It all starts to let go. And the reason you need to do that, to make this connection with your guides, to get out of your way, is because they come through your upper body when they come through, all right? They don't come through here. That's your own truth center that lets you know whatever you got, your intuition, is it true or is it false? Okay, that's what this lets you know. But up here, that's where they come through and they bring that guidance through. So if you're holding your breath, that's what you really do. I'm exaggerating that a little bit, but that's what you do. So you really have to release it, and then they can reach you. But if you're expecting, the minute you release it, if you're going, okay, I want the answer now. Okay, wrong energy. You have to just let it go. Remember what you asked. Okay, My Guided Journey, the free journal on the lindadeir.com website. On part 3 is the journaling part. Whenever you ask a question, whether you verbally ask it or you just thought it, you just put that out there, that signal out there for them to answer you, all right? Write it into your journal and date it, because what'll happen is you'll get, a lot of people will say, I didn't get the answer. And I'll start working them back through the process when they ask for it, what happened, and I'll go through a whole thing. And every single time we will find where they did get the answer, but they forgot they asked the question. That's why this journal is so important. You've got to use it.
Okay, so that first day they showed up, you said they were always there.
Yep.
Just like you told Leslie. So they were always there.
They are always there.
And what you got out of the way was the panic.
Right.
I mean, a baby doesn't have a whole lot of fears other than...
Okay, I'm going to explain this. Here's what Ray's trying to convey here. Ray knows the book really well. Okay, so that's what he's referring back to. In the instant when I was 20 months old, in the instant that I was so desperate, in shock and terrified, I was in panic mode. Nobody could reach me. I'm talking about, if anybody could hold their breath as much as I did at that moment, I was really in resistance, okay? Not from my guides, because I didn't even know about my guides at that point, but from what was going to happen next in this world, all right? My guard was up. So I was like, as much as like this, holding my breath and expecting what to expect next. And I don't want to be caught off guard again. And oh my God, oh my God, what am I going to do? And it was all that, okay? In a moment, in just an instant, I asked for help and I breathed it out and I let it go. And it only took that instant and they came through. They were physically all around me. That's how it works. But if you're in panic mode, or let's say you need an answer to something that's not so much panic, but fear or worry or something that has a hold of you, that's causing you to resist and hold your breath, and you're breaking the connection to your guides, you guys, the minute you do that, all right? They can't reach you. That's why another exercise in this is in part 3. Now there's part 2. Part 2 is the journey, and it's really important. But I'm moving to part 3 right now for the sake of getting you guys to start writing down what you're asking for. Because I will guarantee you this, 90% of you will forget what you asked for. So when the answer came through, you forgot you even asked it, and you will say you didn't get the answer. That's where the problem happens most of the time. All right, so.
Okay, Leslyn says, Leslyn's question was, how do I connect with my guides? I keep asking them to step forward. And then she says, my hands move by themselves.
Wow.
That would be interesting.
What does that mean? I want you to tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. That's really interesting.
That is interesting.
Okay, I want to hear more, and then I'm going to answer you on that. Go ahead, Ray.
No more questions.
Right
but
now. Okay.
I have, last Thursday, you remember I asked everybody they could email us some questions about asking their guides. And we have some questions, and this one came in from Bonnie. She's in Ohio. It says, Linda, I grew up in a family where asking for help was perceived as a weakness. So when I think about asking my guides for help, I'm worried about what my friends will think about me, or will they see me as a weak person?
Yeah, they forgot. It's as simple as this. And what's her name? Bonnie? Bonnie, okay. What happened is, in Bonnie's case, they forgot her friends in school. They forgot where they came from. They forgot who they are. They live only in this world. So they're walking along, they're living their life like they're dragging a leg. But they think they're fully present, okay? Bonnie has still this line of communication, this connection, this umbilical cord to where she came from that she hasn't forgotten. But the kids here are so sure of themselves because they have completely forgotten that they laugh at her.
I think I remember Bonnie from before, from Facebook. She said she had a family full of a lot of brothers, and it is taught, I guess, to the brothers, don't be weak,
right?
Don't ask for help.
That's right.
You'll be perceived as a weak person.
Well, that's why guys, they say in studies that guys, when it comes to asking for directions if they're driving somewhere, a woman will ask for directions, but a man won't, because they can't look like what Ray's talking about. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So it's
good analogy.
Yeah. So the male energy, let's take the male energy. The male energy is very earthbound, okay? Where the feminine energy is more intuitive. It remembers more about where it came from, okay? But being a female, I have male and female energy. Being a male, Ray has both. So it just depends on how we allow society, our peers, our parents, our friends, our coworkers to judge us, okay? That's really what they're doing. And they really do believe that something's wrong with you. That there's, what are you talking about? That you asked for help. The best that they can do is to relate to it is to say, you mean your prayers didn't get answered? That seems to be okay. But if you asked for help, who did you ask? They can't even understand what that is. So in a situation like this, where Bonnie asked for help, and how does this read?
She grew up in a family where asking for help was perceived as a weakness.
Okay.
So she's worried about what her friends would say about her, or will they see her as a weak person?
So she's just worried about what other people think about her, which will break the connection to your guides. If you worry about what other people think of you, or might say, or might do about you because of you, then it'll turn all this off. I mean, what you came in, all the gifts and talents that you had when you first came here, and all this natural ability where you were plugged in and never disconnected from who it is you are and all of those that help you. If you're concerned about that, then you'll over-invest into this world. You'll just start doing what everyone else does and disconnect. And that's where you'll start to suffer. Because it's based in fear. You're fearful of what someone's going to say, do, or think. And fear can only happen when you forget who you are and where you came from. And that's how it starts.
You mentioned all these gifts and talents that you brought with you. If you're worried about what somebody's going to say or what they're going to think of you, that's taking everything personally. And if you always take everything personally, you'll never apply any of those talents or gifts.
You're always putting on the brakes. Because when you take it personally, you start to doubt yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when you notice that you took something personally, your ego responded, not who you are. Your ego stepped forward and said, I'll take care of this. Well, they're not taking very good care of this. They're just keeping you down.
So in Bonnie's case, she just has to stop taking things personally.
Right. And
not care what anybody else thinks.
Right. And not care, Ray. It's not that you don't care about what they think. I think everyone cares about what somebody thinks, okay? I think that's just a natural knee-jerk response We're in the world. I mean, we care about what people think about us. That's our little soft spot, our weak underbelly. That's our vulnerability. It's our sweetness, really. A little child cares if they're loved or not. They care if their parents are happy. They care, okay? That's not a bad thing. But when we let it run us and control us and make us run away from who we are and overinvest in this world that doesn't know itself, that's all, materialistic, ego-based, and it's lost, the people here, when they're just running on this, and this is all they have, and they believe that world is all there is. Well, that's not working. That doesn't work. That cuts you off from your guidance, from who it is you are, where you came from.
Okay, Leslin says her hands move around by themselves, and they just move around. I guess they move around uncontrollably.
Okay, here's a...
That's an energetic thing.
It is, totally. And I don't know if you're using it or if you're applying it or if you're understanding what this is, but you have a very different gift there. And what I would be inclined to start doing in your case is I would pick up a pen.
Yeah.
I would breathe. So your guides are right here. It's you that needs to breathe so you can reconnect with them, okay? And just start with automatic writing. And don't even look at what you're writing. Just notice that you're not going off the page, but just kind of look away a little bit and let whatever's coming through come through. Now, when I first started doing automatic writing, I didn't use paper because I was burning through a lot of paper, all right? And I started using one of those little sketch pads where you can, just go ahead and it fluidly writes, and then you can just wipe it and start over again, and just wipe it and start over again. And it's very forgiving, right? And do something like that, but start investigating what that is. Your guides are communicating with you, and they're using the easiest way to reach you is through this hand movement. And I have this feeling this is going to reveal what it is. Yeah. Automatic writing. It's based on the principles of dowsing.
She says she can control it, but she doesn't know what it is.
Okay, right. Okay, so you can turn it off. Let me just rephrase what you said. But work with it, investigate it, play with it. Okay.
Maybe they're trying to get you to write.
They are. That's what it is, right?
Right.
That's very cool. I want to hear how you did. I want to hear how you did with that.
We'd like to see a video of that.
Yeah, see how, you know what? You have something special there, but because the world doesn't appreciate things like that, you just try to turn it off because it doesn't seem to fit into this world.
Yeah.
You know what? Please let yourself have this. This is a gift you came in with.
Right. Shelley from Texas.
All right. Okay.
Shelley's email. Shelley says, Linda, why do I have trouble asking questions without having expectations?
Okay, so having questions without expectations. Shelley knows about our work, and that's why she asked this question. She gets on the Linda Deir website, when you go to my website, lindadeir.com, what you want to get is Linda's weekly guided insights. It's free, and it's channeled information from my spirit guide angels that comes out every Tuesday, once a week. And in those insights, the guides have talked about this particular thing where they talked about, why does she have trouble?
Can you see that?
Not really.
Yeah, enough light?
Asking questions without having expectations. So the guides have let everybody know that when you ask a question, remove yourself from the outcome. That's what the expectations are about. Remove yourself from the outcome, because if you have an outcome, there's two ways you receive information in your life. Only two. You receive it from your position in this world, from your ego, from you, okay? And then you receive it from the source. You receive it from your source-connected spirit guides, angels, and others that come through, that you have a connection with, that come through you, not from you, not from your ego, but through you, from your guidance, all right? And when that comes through, it's not coming from an expectation your ego has in mind, okay? But if you keep getting information, you keep asking a question, you write it into part 3 of the journal part of this journey. And you write it in there, you keep writing it in there, and you keep getting all the answers that you want. You love this. It's not coming from guidance. It's coming from your ego. Now, your guides will come through and tell you things you want to hear that you like. But they also come through with things that you need to work on things that you need to know that you didn't know, that were unavailable to you until you were open to it and you received it from your guides. Your ego didn't know that. Your ego's not that smart, all right? Your ego's just trying to keep you in one piece in this world so you guys can survive. It's got a purpose, but it doesn't have a purpose when you ask a question, when you're asking guidance, and you write it into the journal part in part 3. It's not your ego that you're asking to answer that question. And you can feel the difference, you guys. You're going to get so you can feel it. But unless you write it in here and you document what the question was, and then when you get the answer, write the answer in right under the question, and write the date on that when you got the answer to the question, so you can start to see what your MO is, what usually works for you. And do you usually get it through a dream when they answer your question? Do you usually get it when you're driving to work? Kind of that, mindless time, that relaxing time when you're just driving to work. Do you get it when you're in the shower? Pow, it just comes through. But then the minute you step out, you forget what they told you?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's how you do it. When they catch you in a spot where, like, you're driving or you're in the shower and you're soaking wet or whatever, it comes in those times. You say it out loud. What came through, you say it out loud 3 times. You say it and say it and say it. Now, if anyone's in the car with you and you're doing this, they're definitely going to think, yeah, right. But you know what? Don't worry about what they think. Just say it. Just say, I'm having fun with myself. I'm playing around. Don't even tell them what happened. Then when you stop the car, you're going to find that you have this tethered to you, because you're going to open it up. You're going to go to that part. You're going to write it in there, okay? And date it. And there it is. Got it. Okay. Now, I don't know if it answered my question or I asked 2 days ago or what. I'll look at it tonight when I have a chance. But write it in the journal or you're going to lose it, you guys. And within 1 month, if you do this diligently, using this journal and writing in here what happened, what came through, what the question was, what came through, even if you didn't ask the question out loud, write it in here. It's private between you and your guidance, okay? You will, within 1 month, start to see a pattern that regarding you. They may, most of the time, come through when you're driving to work or in a dream. The minute you wake up in the morning, you may not even remember your dream, but you just go back into that twilight and boom, the first thing that comes to mind is the answer. You're going to learn how to have this communication bridge with your guides. You will learn, and it goes really fast. This is something that you have naturally. It's built in GPS. It's just like muscles that have atrophied that you're learning to build up again. You always had it.
So the answer to her question is, if you ask a question and you have an expectation in mind, that's your ego getting in the way.
That is because you already have the answer to your question.
You answered your own question.
You have it, although you know that's nonsense, and you know that's not the truth, but you still want it to be like that. You want it to turn out like that type of thing. So you have to let that kind of thing go and breathe. Like I keep telling you, breathe and get on that elliptical machine, jump rope, go for a walk. Get out of your head so that Because you see, God, you guys, the way they come through the guides, they never shout at you. They whisper. It's subtle. It's gentle. But in this world, when you ask a question and you get the answer, it's loud. It screams at you. All right, the advertisements on TV and everything, and the boss and everybody, your kids, and it's always loud. All right, that's just gibberish. Okay, from this world, that's just a bunch of static communication, if we want to call it that. But when you get guidance, it's always subtle, but it's always precise. Okay, no extra words. They don't use any extra energy to convey the exact thing that you need to know at that particular time in your life, all right?
And you could ask a question, and if you had an expectation for an answer, you could get something better than that expectation.
Way better.
Or you could be limiting yourself by having some idea in your mind that that's what the outcome's going to be.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's so well said. You'll find if you sign up for Linda's weekly guided insights on my website, and you get these insights each week from the guides, you're going to get, so you understand things like what Ray just said that come through each week. That happens to be very timely. These insights are, it's about navigating the uncertain world that you are now living in. And so they help guide you through what you're experiencing right now. This is not about philosophy or some, far out idea. This is about the world you live in and how the guides see it and show you a better way. All right?
Okay. Bridget says she had a similar situation in her family as in Bonnie's family. Asking for help was perceived as complaining or something similar to weakness. Also, I think no one really knew how to help you. So I think it made me think I had to do everything on my own, and it was exhausting.
It is exhausting. Bridget, you admit that it's exhausting. Everyone else knows it is. They know it is, but they tolerate it. They go through another day, a week, a month of it, another year of it. And at some point, you burn out. You burn out. You can't hold it up. It's not the natural flow. They're not listening to their truth center. They're disconnected from who they are, okay? And where they came from. So that's what's going on. And if they think it's weak, and a lot of people still think like that, that's where this journal comes back in. You don't have to say it out loud. I mean, when I was a little kid, I was 20 months old, and once I made this connection with my guides, they couldn't shut me up, right? Because I didn't know how else to do it but to go blah, 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 blah. Okay, but then it didn't take me long to learn that I was wondering about something, thinking about something, and getting the guidance. Okay, it turned into a natural flow between me and my guides and my angels and those that looked out for me. When you guys are learning this now as adults, you have to start writing it in here, because it's a little bit slow motion in the beginning, just a little bit. But after a while, you're going to be able to do what I did as that baby, where you think a thought and you don't have the answer. You release having that answer so they can come through. You learn how to pull the two worlds together and be one with this. Now your life is magical, and it really works. Now what you have to explain to people, if you are inclined to do this, is to explain. They'll say to you things like, you'll read about it in Guided, if you get my book, how the many times they said to me, Linda, you make it look so easy. You have this great intuition. Where did you get this great intuition? What's going to happen next year? What's going to happen tomorrow? They just bombarded me with things. But they really never thought about how they could do it, and I guess they thought that they weren't equipped to do it. And I know from all the teaching I've done and the coaching I've done, especially after I wrote Guided, I know from all the fan base feedback I've gotten and questions they've asked me, which generated my guided journey, all right? I know that it doesn't take long to reestablish this connection, all right? And realize what it takes to keep it going. This is all it takes to keep it going. Keep a log, keep a journal, document what's going on, ground what came through from the other world, from the world you came from, into this world by writing it into your journal, all right?
Okay.
Yep.
Ray had to fix the air conditioning there.
I know you did. Thank you, Ray.
Be drowning us out over here. Okay.
Do we have any other questions, Ray?
No. Somebody loves your energy, though.
Oh.
You're so sweet. Yeah, I knew that.
You know something, you guys? When you make this connection to your guides, I will say this. You become more like them. You know, it's like they say, you become who you hang out with. Well, it's true with your guides. When you have this connection to your guides, oh my God, it's powerful. And I will tell you this too, and I feel the energy all the time. One thing that'll happen is your heart will open, and you will almost feel like Ray talked about, and Bridget talked about, and Bonnie talked about, being kind of embarrassed or shy about asking, because you know, in this world, they put you down for that, right? Well, one other thing that'll happen as you open up to your guides is you'll catch yourself feeling so much love. You won't believe it. I mean, it's love like no one has in this world ever described to me. All right, and it's just a connection. It's it's your home, is what I want to say. And it's such a powerful feeling when you have that back in your life again, when you have you back again. And you're no longer just stranded in this world thinking this is all there is. Now you're one. You're not broken anymore. You're not separate anymore. And it will soften you, but will make you stronger. It's not a weakness, it's a strength, okay? So you'll notice these feelings when they come through. They're powerful. And when you feel that happen, you're totally opening up. Write it in your journal. Write it in part 3. Tell about how this is happening, how you're developing, how you're waking up, how you're connecting, okay? Talk about it. And when you write at those times, when you're writing in your journal, write like you're writing to your guides. Because this, after all, is you rebuilding this relationship that you had with them and rekindling it so that you are no longer alone in this world. Again, you are never alone and always being guided. All right?
Right. Okay, we got a couple more questions here.
Okay.
This one's from Jennifer in San Diego. Jennifer. Linda, what's the harm? Now I had to add something here because I don't think she
Finished her thought,
but what's the harm in asking for what you really want? And what I thought was maybe she's thinking she's feeling guilty about asking for what she really wants.
Okay.
Okay?
So, what's the harm in asking for what you really want?
Right.
And so
should you feel guilty about that, or is that maybe that's not part of her question? But
okay, so what's the harm in asking for what you really want? What's the harm in it? I don't know. I've lived my whole life. Not so much just walking around. I don't walk around asking my guides questions all day long out loud, all right? But I wonder about things a lot, all right? So instead of, okay, let's use this for an example. Instead of letting my thinking be used up by something nonsensical. I made that new word up.
Nonsensical?
Yeah, is that a new word, right?
I think it's an acceptable word.
Okay, so, and you get what I'm saying, is something that consumes my head with nonsense. I let my mind be left alone and not get sucked into all the stuff that's so prevalent in this world. I spend more time alone and away from, not so much alone because Ray and I are together, but I spend my time away from the madness, I might say, from this world, right? And in doing that, I don't have all this bombarding me that I have to keep, deflecting and pushing away and getting away from me, and learning and remembering to breathe again and doing all the things. I mean, it's impossible. So I have a pretty quiet life so that these things can come through. My wonder can come through. When I have a question, I just kind of think about it. You know what I mean, right? You just kind of think about it, and then you let it go, and then you go about doing something else. You're not making an answer come through. You're letting it come through. And all of a sudden it does, and you just go, oh boy, I got it, and I needed it, and I wrote it in my journal, and I'm going to write it in my journal, and there it is. And I'm so glad I have this, because now I'm not losing it. All right, I'm not losing this information that's coming through. That's a constant flow. Your guides are constantly sending you guidance. They are broadcasting guidance to you 24 hours a day.
It's like a radio.
They never stop.
Always playing.
That's right. But just like I said, if you can get away from all the noise and all the loudness and the shouting and the all the friction in the world, you can begin to breathe naturally, and then have that peace of mind where you can get back to the person you've always been, but you forgot because you pushed it away so long ago. Bring it back. Now on that note, I'm gonna bring up one thing. Part 2 of this journal is where you take the journey. It's page 1 through 18, and Ray and I did an 18-week Facebook Live video on each one of those pages. They're about an hour long. So when you go to those pages and you really want to remember what happened back there, it's based on the fact that you can't know where you're going until you know where you've been. And even though you think you know where you've been, you guys, you missed a lot of stuff, and you made a lot of decisions when you were ill-equipped, when you were young, and forced to make them, right? Well, we take you back so you can, on those pages in part 2, page 1 through 18, when associated with the videos we did on each one of those pages, when you watch the video first, before you start writing into those pages what happened at that time in your life, it's going to draw out the you that you pushed away, that you forgot, okay? Because you see, you've got to bring that back in order to interface it in this world. If you're just coming from this world, you're not going to get this. You're going to miss it, okay? You have to come back, okay? So on the website, on the Linda Deir website, you get this. It's on the right side on the homepage, My Guided Journey. And it's a free download, all right? You get this, and then once you get this and you print it out on your printer and you put it in your little binder, like this is the little binder. I like the little one. Then you go to the blog. It says on the top are the navigation bars. Click on the blog and go to the blog page, and on the right side are the categories. And you're going to see the category that says My Guided Journey. And you're going to match the page up that you're working on in part 2 with that video. And when you get there and you watch that video, you guys, you're going to make the connection. You're going to remember. You're going to go, oh my God, I get it. I feel it. I see it. And parts of it will make you feel sad when you start to remember. But you got to write it in there because that's where you got knocked off your course, okay? And part of it will make you laugh and make you feel good and was awesome, okay? And part of it, when Ray took the journey in part 2, he started on page 14 and finished it up through page 18 before he went back to page 1 because he couldn't remember. But once he wrote out the things he could remember, he could go back. And what he remembered on page 1, which was fear, and page 2 is ask. That's what we're talking about today. Once he was able to identify the fear and write it into the journal, the journey part of it, part 2, when he went to ask that part where you ask, it came right through. The next part is friends, came right through. He remembered, all right? So it's where we got knocked off our path in the early years, and we don't remember. I mean, well, what happens is we remember from an emotional victim point of view. And when you watch the videos in part 2, this is another reason why you want to do this before you write in those pages. When you watch the videos associated with those pages, I explain how you don't come from emotional energy from a victim standpoint. You come from feeling and knowing. That's powerful. That puts this to shame. Okay? Now, you might remember what some of those twinges of hurt and pain felt like. But what I'm asking you guys to do is you need to look at it out here. You don't need to take it and go like this and still, ooh, it still hurts. No, you have to put it out here and go and not take it personally when you remember it again, like what Ray was talking about. And then you get into the meat and potatoes of what it is to bring you back. So when you come back, okay, now you get it. You know what happened back there, and you will make different decisions. So when you bring yourself back over here to the real self that came from over here that you revived, now your connection to your guides is restored. And here's how I explain this. Guided changes lives. My guided journey restores lives. All right?
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, I made a little note here.
Okay.
Yeah, we have another comment here.
Okay.
Allie
Yeah.
Clark joined us. Every time I feel my guides, I start tearing up.
Right. Oh, man. Okay.
It's such a beautiful feeling.
Yes. Now, remember what I said about 10 minutes ago about when you make this connection, you feel it. I mean,
Right.
It's a love that hits you, and you're not expecting it, you guys. You're going to feel, for those of you who are still really solidly invested in this world and still aren't used to yourself, the one that you left behind, you're going to feel embarrassed when it comes through, okay? You're going to go, oh, you're going to try to cover it up. You're going to try to hide it, all right? That lets you know that you have healing to go through, okay? You have some healing in there that you need to work on. Allie isn't ashamed of it. Allie, she knows that something's coming through that's really amazing, all right? And when this happens, you're going to become more of an empath. I'm telling you that you just are. But as you learn to understand yourself, your empathic aptitude, where you're growing and learning and expanding and becoming more of who you are, who you really are, you won't be empathic in the sense that it overwhelms you as much as it used to when you first started feeling it, all right? So you become more of a master at this. And when it's just like what it's really preparing for you to do, all of you guys, is it's preparing you to be of service to others. That's really what it's preparing you to do. I mean, the world has been injured. The world is damaged. The world needs love. It needs help. And I think what's happening is the guides are calling in. They're calling in as many of us as they possibly can to help.
The other ones.
To help do this, to help get this work done, because there's going to be massive amounts of people who they're going to need the help, and it's going to be huge, and we're going to have to help each other. And I mean, it's how we treat each other every day. It's how we are. It's how when we treat somebody badly, we did it to ourselves, you know?
Right.
When we treat someone with love and understanding and not judging them, we gave it to ourselves, and it's amazing, all right? Yeah.
Good point. That as you go back and you reconstruct your life with the journal, you have to feel all those things that knocked you off course, all the things that affected the way you made decisions growing up. You have to go back and feel those, as painful as some of them are.
Ray did it.
Before you can heal it. If you can't feel it, you won't be able to heal it.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
one observation on Jennifer's question, what's the harm in asking for what you really want. Well, you may not like how you get what you want.
Well, that's what I talked about a little bit earlier. Is you
An example.
if you got what you wanted all the time when you asked, all right? If you always got what you wanted, what did I say earlier? It's not you. You're not getting guidance. Your ego is answering the question because it wants all this stuff. It wants to have everything, and it wants it now. Okay.
Yep. Here's a good example. I want to lose 25 pounds, and I want to lose it now.
Right.
And that's what I'm asking for.
Okay. I actually had a coaching client that did that. She wanted to lose
50 pounds.
Yeah, it was like 45 pounds she wanted to lose. And I said to her, I said, well, what's your strategy? What are you going to do to lose that weight? She goes, well, I want my guides to tell me because I don't know. And I said, okay. I said, and the guides came through and they told her, they said, in order to get anything that you want, that you ask for, I want a new car. These are different kind of asking questions, okay? Where you actually want something, you want to have something and you want it right now.
Right.
Okay. I said, the guides came through and said, are you the person who can actually achieve that? Are you already the person who can do that? And she was bewildered. She was like, what? What does that mean? Am I the person? I just want to lose the weight. I don't want to make a big thing out of this, she said. And then I stepped in and I said, what they're saying to you is, if you want to lose that weight, that 45, 50 pounds, and you keep asking for it, you keep on asking, and you're not already the person that it takes to do that. Like, you're not willing to change your diet. You're not willing to exercise and do what it takes to, build up your metabolism. You're not willing to, do whatever it takes in this world to make that happen. And she said, well, I'm not really willing to do that. I just want it to be gone, Well, I said, well, they will probably answer your question or answer your request, but it won't be what you want it to be. I mean, you're asking to get something that you're not the person it already takes to achieve it. So what's going to happen is something is going to happen, like you get the flu, or
we just talked to her not too long ago, and what happened?
She got sick.
Horribly sick.
She got really sick, and now she's losing all kinds of weight. She's throwing up all the time. She can't, she's having a lot of problems with that,
But she's losing her weight.
But she has some kind of, what happened is she got some kind of an intestinal, we don't even know what it is, but it's something in the intestinal tract that is like a parasite or something in there and she wouldn't stop asking for it. So here she is in the throes of losing all this weight. And we reminded her that, do you remember asking for it no matter what? I mean, you're not the person, you weren't willing to take on what it took to actually take action and lose the weight. You wanted it just to happen. Well, that's how they answered your request. So when you're not already the person that it takes to have that, and you ask for something that's extraordinary, okay, I want that Ferrari in my driveway by the morning, right? Whatever it happens to be, something ridiculous, they will find a way to answer your request. But it won't be what you think it is in terms of what it's going to take to get it. So just be careful what you do ask for, and think about that.
There's all kinds of consequences from not asking with clarity.
Yeah.
I want a new car. 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 Well, you could get in a serious accident, and your car would get totaled, and you get a new car. Trouble is, you could be in it when you have the accident.
See, that's exactly right, what Ray's talking about. So just be mindful of what you do ask for, and really just ask for the things that make sense, Just keep it in perspective. You know what your life is about. You know what you're about. So
we have one more question.
Do we have any more questions?
No, none on the
Okay.
One more question. This is from Susan in Denver. Linda, I'm relatively happy and I feel that I have just about everything I want in life, but I still feel compelled to ask my guides for more.
Well, that ties.
What's wrong with me?
Okay, that ties in with what we just covered. I think that, what's her name, Ray?
This Susan.
Susan. Okay, Susan. I'm assuming that you guys are going to see the video after if you haven't already joined us here, and it doesn't look like Susan's on the.
No, she's not on.
Okay,
tonight.
she's not on tonight, but she'll come back and watch the video. She's probably sleeping or working or whatever. But that's a perfect.
Why are people compelled to ask for more when they already have enough?
Right. So what that really means is when we catch ourselves doing that, it means that it's really that hole in our soul. It keeps coming out. It keeps reminding us that we're missing it. That that we got to get this right. We came here to achieve this. What we came here to do in this life. Before it's over. I mean, really, the only thing we really have in this life, you guys, is the time we have.
Right.
Because everything else, you know what? We leave all these things behind. This stuff stays behind. You can't take it with you anyway. So it's an illusion. That's what they mean by the illusion. So when we catch ourselves asking for more and more and more, what are we trying to fill up? What's missing in us? So that's what we really have to sit back on and breathe. I mean, really, just that's a contemplation. See, that might not be a question you actually, really have, but it might be something you contemplate. And a contemplation is a question. Just remember all these things that you wonder about, contemplate, are trying to figure out because it's holding something up in your life and you just wish you knew that one thing. That's a question that you ask your guides. You don't have to scream it out. You don't have to say it 50 times. But you do have to, when you realize you're doing it, write it in here. Okay? When the guides, when you write it in here, they're watching you write it in here. Now they know you're serious about this. They're watching you. They're always watching you. You are never alone and always being guided. So when you're doing this, think about it. Imagine that your guides are right there as they're watching you write this down. Carefully construct your sentence. So it's a well thought out question, all right? Or contemplation.
Hand me the first steps book. I think there's a whole section here about asking for abundance.
You read it, Rick.
Read it. Let me see here.
Now, show them the book cover, the front of the book. That's one of the little books that I wrote after Guided. That's one, and here's the other one. They're both also on Amazon, iTunes, and Audible in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook format. They're really, really great little books of channeled information from my guides. And at the end of it, there's 2 paragraphs from the guides. Then there's 1 paragraph from me that explains how it works. All right.
I'm having trouble seeing this. I don't have the right glasses on.
Here, put these on, Ray.
Here, you read it.
No, you go ahead, baby.
You read it.
The light is right here, Ray.
Okay.
You have the advantage. Look.
Oh.
You're out of there. You've got the light right on you.
This is called Ask for Abundance, Not Excess Abundance. Everyone says, I want more. Think about what that means. You use the law of attraction in an attempt to manifest what you want and more of what you already have. Do you think that the universe wants you to become more materialistic? Or does the universe want you to have just a sufficient amount of abundance? You don't need abundance in excess. If you ask for excessive abundance, that isn't abundance. That's a distraction. The universe will give you what you need, but you will pay dearly for excesses. And here's the part where Linda comments on how it works. If you can't take it with you, it's an illusion. Why ask for the illusion when you can have the real thing? You are the real thing. Have fun discovering what that is as you expand and explore what your guides are placing on your path.
It's that simple. These are great little insights in these books, and what they do is they just keeps you on track. It reminds you, and when you read them, you know that you read something that's right. You know your truth center tells you that. Okay, your knowingness tells you that.
Great little books. A lot of people we've seen have these books, and they have them all marked up, notes in the
Copies
margins,
all over them.
Right, all dog-eared and everything. But excellent little books. They're about 100 pages.
Yeah, they're quick reads. They're actually 1-hour audiobooks, and they're quick little reads, but little references where you can go back and go, ooh, what was that? What was that one thing that the guide said? What did I miss? You know, that type of thing. So even I do it. I mean, I love these guides. They're, instead of saying I love these guys, I love these guides.
Okay.
And next week, Ray.
Next week.
Okay, next week.
Same place, same time.
Yep, and next week we're going to answer your questions, you guys. Bring your questions, and you can ask questions about Guided, about any part of Guided that you have read or listened to that you have questions about. So instead of sending me mail, you can do that, or you can send me mail. I answer both. And next week the next one is
Page 3.
3, and it's friends. This is your friends on Guided. On the front cover of the book, it says Guided. Her spirit guide angels were her best friends and life coaches. So I talk about how this friendship developed in your own life, and you may and most likely forgot about how that actually happened. Again, when you get My Guided Journey, Part 2, Page 3, friends, and you go to the website, to the blog, and you get the video for My Guided Journey for friends, and you marry these two up before you start writing into your journal, into your journey part of the journal, you're going to remember. You're going to remember. And just like I said earlier, your heart, you'll feel it in your heart. You will feel consumed with love, and you won't believe it. You won't believe it. It's you coming back. You're returning. You are restoring your life.
And everybody who gets My Guided Journey now, and who didn't get it at the beginning, has a big advantage because of these videos.
Right, exactly.
There's over 21 hours, 23 hours of videos now there.
Right. That really are concentrated. And Ray and I thought these out in the beginning when I first talked to you guys in the beginning of these videos, where I really explain it, and I can explain it because I remember it. That's the only way I could write Guided. I remembered it, and now I'm sharing it with you guys so you guys can bring it back. You only have to write it in here one time, and you're going to have it. It's the shortcut.
It is. It's a shortcut to finding out which way you're going the rest of your life. It
is. And so next week, same place. Wait a second. Next week is Thanksgiving.
Oh, no, we're going to be eating.
You guys are going to be with your families. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now. Or 2 weeks from Thursday. Not next week because it's Thanksgiving, but the following week.
Right.
This is what we're going to be focusing on. We look forward to you guys coming back. Bring your questions about your friends, your best friends, the friends you brought with you. Okay.
Right.
The friends who are right here. They're right here. They're on standby, waiting for you to let them in. All right.
The ones who don't judge you and love you unconditionally.
Right, but if this is the you that's trying to reach your guides, you won't do it. You got to bring you back.
Right.
Okay. So that's who we're going to be working with 2 Thursdays from now, same place, same time. All right. And if you have questions, you can always email me at linda@lindadeir.com, and I'll answer you. I always answer my fan base first. Okay? You guys come first.
Great. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you in 2 weeks from now. Bye-bye.
Bye.